And I bet you thought I weren't going to do a video about this. Well, proved you wrong, didn't I? Because what you're about to watch isn't a speech from a king to his people. It's a carefully scripted corporate presentation delivered by a man dressed up in medieval cosplay, standing in front of a room full of political lifers, clapping along like trained seals at a marina. Watch the language carefully. Watch the language or listen to the language? Listen to the language carefully. Every problem somehow requires more state control. Every crisis demands more oversight. Every solution involves less independence and more management. And buried beneath all the polished royal theatre is the exact technocratic future Aldous Huxley warned people about decades ago. Digital identity, collective security, behaviour management, the social contract. Not sovereignty, not liberty, and not permission. So let's pull this thing apart properly, because the gap between the words being spoken and the reality that people are actually living is absolutely staggering.
My lords and members of the House of Commons, an increasingly dangerous and volatile world threatens the United Kingdom, with the conflict in the Middle East only the most recent example. Every element of the nation's energy, defence and economic security will be tested. My government will respond to this world with strength and aim to create a country that is fair for all. My ministers will take decisions that protect the energy, defence and economic security of the United Kingdom for the long term. They will defend the British values of decency, tolerance and respect for difference under our common flag. And they will harness the potential of the pride felt across this country for its communities. My government will take urgent action to tackle anti-Semitism and ensure all communities feel safe. My government believes that the United Kingdom's economic security depends on raising living standards in every part of the United Kingdom. My ministers will support measures that maintain stability and control the cost of living. They will use public investment to shape markets and attract further private investment. They will deploy the power of an active state.
Ah yes, there it is. Deploy the power of an active state. Funny how the answer is never let people govern themselves. Let's reduce interference. Let's stop bleeding the taxpayers dry. No. The solution is always more management, more systems, more intervention. At this point, Britain isn't run like a nation anymore. It sounds like an underperforming branch office being micromanaged by consultants from LinkedIn. And Charles delivers these lines with the energy of a man announcing revised parking regulations at a garden centre.
In partnership with business and enable reforms that support higher growth and a fair deal for working people. My government believes that improved trading relations are vital for the United Kingdom's economic security, for significantly raising economic growth and for lowering prices for working people. My ministers will introduce legislation to take advantage of new trading opportunities, including a bill to strengthen ties with the European Union. My government will also support the economic security of British businesses. Legislation will be introduced to tackle late payments and to reduce the burden of unnecessary regulation through innovation. The United Kingdom's economic security depends upon world-class infrastructure. Legislation will be introduced to unlock the benefits of airport expansion, enable roads to be built at pace, including the Lower Thames Crossing, and deliver a fair deal for the north of England through Northern Powerhouse Rail. My ministers will continue to take all action necessary to safeguard the domestic production of steel. My government will also improve the United Kingdom's security by continuing to invest in the renewal of public services. My ministers will push forward with significant reforms to the police, the National Health Service, and to the criminal justice system to help them deliver services the British people expect. Legislation will be introduced to increase confidence in the security of the immigration and asylum systems. My government will improve critical infrastructure with legislation to clean up the water industry and establish Great British Railways. My government believes that the United Kingdom should be a country fair for all and a place where every child is included in the nation's highest aspirations. My ministers believe that every child deserves the chance to succeed to the best of his or her ability and not be held back due to poverty, special educational needs, or a lack of respect for vocational education. My ministers will continue to invest in apprenticeships and measures that tackle youth unemployment. They will respond to the Milburn Review and the Timms Review and continue to reform the welfare system to support both young and disabled people to flourish in work as the basis for long-term economic security. A bill will be brought forward to raise standards in schools and introduce generational reforms of the special educational needs system. My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernise how citizens interact with public services.
And there we go, the digital ID section. The bit that conspiracy theorists supposedly imagined for years, now casually read aloud inside Parliament like it's a Tesco's club card update. And notice how they always package this stuff: modernised services, convenience, efficiency, never centralised tracking, behaviour monitoring, or the potential for total administrative control over daily life. Because once your identity becomes digitised and linked across systems, access itself becomes conditional. That's not freedom. That's a compliance infrastructure. Huxley would be sat in the gallery whispering, "I bloody told you so."
Alongside strong public services and a strong economy, the highest standards of trust in public office are essential for the social contract and the United Kingdom's collective security. My government will introduce the Hillsborough Law to bring forward a duty of candour for public servants. My ministers will also introduce legislation to enable peerages to be removed. My government will bring forward proposals that strengthen the delivery, accountability, innovation and productivity of the civil service. These proposals will also seek to safeguard its impartiality and core values, to enhance trust and confidence in the institutions of government. My government will bring forward a bill to speed up remediation for people living in homes with unsafe cladding and a draft bill to ban abusive conversion practices. In this volatile world, my government will continue to pursue foreign policy based on a calm assessment of the national interest. It will continue its unflinching support for the brave people of Ukraine who fight on the front line of freedom. My ministers will seek to improve relations with European partners as a vital step in strengthening European security. It will continue to promote long-term peace in the Middle East and the two-state solution in Israel and Palestine. My government will also uphold the United Kingdom's unbreakable commitment to NATO and our NATO allies, including through a sustained increase in defence spending.
It's amazing, isn't it? Apparently there's unlimited money for NATO, foreign conflicts, global summits, cyber warfare, climate programmes, and endless international commitments. Yet somehow fixing Britain itself is treated like an impossible engineering challenge. Dentists collapsing, housing collapsing, communities collapsing, public trust collapsing. But don't worry, the people responsible are hosting another summit. And look at the setting while he says all this. Gold walls, robes, ceremonial nonsense, ancient rituals, keep an eye on your kids. While ordinary people are getting economically fisted by inflation harder than one of Charlie's sausage fingers shoved up a... And have you noticed how every one of these speeches, it always manages to circle back to Ukraine like it's some subscription-based service that Britain's never been able to cancel? More billions, more commitments, more unwavering support. At this point, you half expect old Charlie boy to finish the sentence with, for just another $3,000 per household per year, you too can sponsor a forever war package. And us, the public, are just scratching our heads wondering, sorry, remind us again why pensioners are freezing, farmers are drowning, councils are bankrupt, and potholes are actually now starting to look like archaeological digs. Because apparently there's always enough money for foreign operations, just never enough money for the people who actually fund them.
My government will seek to reinforce the long-term energy, defence and economic security of the United Kingdom as an essential component of strength on the world stage. This will include housing, which can be a source of insecurity for many people. My ministers will bring forward legislation to increase long-term investment in social housing and to reform the leasehold system, including the capping of ground rents. My government will introduce legislation to tackle the growing threat from foreign state entities and their proxies. They will respond to the horrific attack in Southport with measures to protect the British people from extreme violence and honour the victims, the injured and their families. My ministers will also introduce legislation to improve the country's defences against cybersecurity threats. My government will support our gallant armed forces and their families who make considerable personal sacrifices for the collective security and freedom of everyone in the United Kingdom. My ministers will recognise this service with an armed forces bill that improves the service justice system and establishes the Armed Forces Covenant in statute. My ministers believe that energy independence must be a long-term goal of national security and that the nation's energy security requires long-term investment and reform, as demonstrated by recent events in the Middle East. Increased production of clean British energy will help to ensure that enemies of the United Kingdom cannot attack the economic security of the British people. My ministers will therefore introduce an energy independence bill to scale up homegrown renewable energy and protect living standards for the long term. My ministers will also take forward recommendations of the nuclear regulatory review and encourage a new era of British nuclear energy generation. My government will remain a leading advocate for tackling climate change and achieving a world free from poverty. The United Kingdom will also take action to reduce humanitarian need and conflict around the world. My ministers will champion the rights of women and girls to live in a world free from violence. This will include promoting women's full economic and political participation within their societies, with agency over the decisions that impact their lives. Next year, the United Kingdom will take on the G20 presidency and host the G20 summit to drive global growth and reinforce global stability, which is essential for the prosperity of working people across the country. My government is committed to the strength and integrity of the Union of the United Kingdom and will continue to work closely with the devolved governments to deliver for citizens across the whole of the nation. Members of the House of Commons, estimates for the public services will be laid before you. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, other measures will be laid before you. I pray that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your councils.
And there we have it, the modern monarchy in all of its glory. A king standing beneath crowns of gold ornaments, speaking endlessly about the collective security, digital identity, active state control, global organisations and social contracts, while ordinary people lose more independence, more purchasing power and more trust in institutions supposedly serving them. Not once did this feel like a monarch defending the historic liberties of the people. It felt like a polished spokesman for an expanding managerial system, and that's what makes this whole thing so bizarre, because the monarchy once sold itself as a safeguard against political overreach, a symbolic anchor above government. Now it increasingly sounds welded directly to the same machinery. Charles talks less like a sovereign king and more like a chairman of a multinational governance structure, trying to reassure investors during a controlled decline. Everything is about security and stability. Everything is management. But freedom, actual freedom, didn't get a mention. And for a man supposedly serving as constitutional guardian of the nation, there's something deeply unsettling about him enthusiastically narrate policies that continuously centralise authority further away from ordinary people. Do let me know what you think in the comments. Look after yourselves. Catch you in the next video. Bye.